Okay, I hate speaking after elected officials and campaign leaders. And I have so much respect, I have to say today, for people who put themselves out there, who run for office, and who serve in the way that you have. And I'm just very grateful for that. And really excited to be here with all of you. And thank you so much for letting us use your beautiful space. You are so representative of, the reasons why we are proud in this community to have so many small business owners who actually are the lifeblood of their communities and of local communities. And great gathering spaces. So I'm Julie Sue. I am the daughter of immigrants. I'm so happy to be here in the birthplace of our nation's democracy to talk a little bit about my own origin story. Like many of you, I am the child of immigrants. And whether you yourself are an immigrant, whether you're the child of immigrants or the great-great-great-grandchild of immigrants, that is one of the important stories of our community, right? And I grew up translating for my parents, as so many immigrant children do. And so I learned really early on the power of language, the power of translation, the power of inclusion. And so I went to law school to become a translator in the language of law for people who were marginalized, discriminated against, and exploited. And I spent almost 20 years at an organization now called Asian Americans Advancing Justice in Los Angeles. So my heart, my roots are in our community's work. And so I'm just so grateful for all you are doing here, because I really have 3 words for you, and they build on the 3 amazing people you've already heard. Margin of victory. Woo! You all, right here in Pennsylvania, are the margin of victory in this election. You all see every poll, everything you look at, how close this election is going to be. And the margin of victory, the last time around, and clearly this time around, is going to be our community. It's going to be how AA and HPIs vote, whether AA and HPIs vote, and how we can communicate to our family members, our friends, and our neighbors that they need to get out there and vote. And as has already been said, there cannot be more at stake in this election. So let me see a little bit about, since I get to see up close, what we have been doing and what the president can deliver. I want to say a little bit about that, especially in ways that really matter to our community. So the first thing is, of course, good jobs, right? I'm only here because after my parents immigrated, after they got jobs working minimum wage and struggling to get by, my mom got a union job working for the county of Los Angeles, and that job changed our lives. It got us health benefits, it got her retirement, it got her predictable hours, it let her come home at night so that we could be together and let us go to the doctor once we got sick. So good jobs is fundamental to this president's agenda. The second is small businesses. We have had more small business investment, more capital for small businesses, more access to that capital for more businesses in this administration than in any in history. So this president understands the importance of small businesses and understands that our community is key to that. The other thing is healthcare, right? Something that everybody needs, everybody benefits from, and our community gets it, both from as consumers of healthcare, but also as people who work in healthcare, right? And this president has done more to, both when he was vice president, but now to bring down the cost of healthcare, to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. That has affected over 2 million AA and HPI elders across this country. So the things that he is doing are directly affecting the health and well-being of our community. And that's really, really important, right? That really matters. And it's about being seen, it's about being heard, it's about knowing what issues affect our community. The other is language access, right? If you don't think about the ANHCI community, you're not going to think about the languages that are needed. And one thing that happens in government a lot is that people will say, well, we don't need things translated into Asian languages because those communities don't ever come to us seeking help, which is a really perverse way of thinking about it, because people can't come to you seeking help if you don't have the language capability to communicate with them. And this president, this administration has made more languages available across all of our services than also any time in the history of this country. And that matters to this community because you are seen, you are heard, you are represented. And the last thing I just want to say about sort of, specific things about the ANHPAC community is we know, as has already been said, we are also a diverse community. And when we don't tell the full story of our community, you don't know what's really going on, right? The aggregate data about AA and HPIs tells one story. The ethnic specific data tells a very different one. And shout out to our friends and leaders from the Cambodian American community who know that firsthand, who know that when it comes to business and hate crimes and deportation and immigration status, all of those things affect certain communities a certain way. And so one of the things that we've done across this administration is broken down the data so we can tell a fuller story about what's happening in our communities. That's the only way you will genuinely be able to serve everybody within the AA and HPI diaspora. And so all of those things matter in this administration because we matter in this administration. We're represented in this administration. The other thing is just generally, right, this president's investments are making life better for all Americans, which includes our community. So we need, in all of our communities, good roads and bridges. We need to know that there's clean drinking water that flows out of every faucet. We need to know that there's access to high-speed, reliable internet. And those things are being delivered because this president has made more investments in infrastructure, in manufacturing, in clean energy, in our climate crisis. I mean, we're all sweating, right? We know that the climate crisis is real, and to the point about we have to be based in science and fact. That is what this president is. And so he's making investments to address these things in ways that are going to benefit us too. We all need good modernized airports. He's making that happen. We all need safety in our communities. He's making that happen. So the work that he is doing every single day is making life better in our communities, and that matters. His approach to seeing every single person and recognizing that everybody matters, it matters. So the only other thing I want to say, because you can all read about his policies, you can all look at what has been accomplished under this president, and again, I'm very proud of it. We should all be proud of it. But the other thing is, in a lot of elections, you don't know what the other guy is going to do, right? You've got an incumbent, and you got sort of like a candidate. We actually know what the other guy's going to do. We've seen what he is going to do. And so the one thing that I know that is in common for all of us here is that during COVID, there was a president in this country who took advantage of a crisis and turned it into a weapon against AA and HPIs every single day. To the point where my mom, who's now in her 80s, she was afraid to leave her house. My parents stopped taking walks because the amount of anti-Asian hate that was unleashed by a president who decided that calling a global pandemic the Kung flu, a China virus, that those kinds of things were appropriate for a national leader, and that the consequences that occurred from that didn't matter to him is outrageous to me. It is outrageous to me. And even if you put aside all the other big accomplishments of this administration, which again I'll stand by, with every breath I have, when you just look at what happened to our community. So, I was a civil rights lawyer for almost 20 years, like I said, before I joined government. I used to track hate crimes. There were more hate crimes under the Donald Trump administration, more incidents of anti-Asian violence, more, like, get out of this country, go back to where you're from, in 2020 than there were in the 10 years that we were documenting that before. So leadership matters. And President Biden, one of the first things he did when he came into office, he signed the COVID-19 anti-hate crimes bill. So we know exactly what we're looking at. We know exactly what the other guy's going to do, and we know what President Biden is going to do. And so the stakes this election could not be higher. The Councilwoman already said this, and we know what it means for our community. We've seen it already, and we cannot go back to that. So we can elect a man who is decent. At the end of the day, decisions are made based on people's values, right? Decisions about everything from huge national security questions to what community you're going to listen to and who you're going to invest in. And I know that this president is a decent man. He's not only bold and can deliver and do other things, he's also decent. He also cares. He looks at things in terms of how can we build communities rather than tear them down. He looks at how do we bring people together rather than divide them. He looks at how do we build hope, not anger. And to me, that is the president that we want. That's the country that our ancestors, that we ourselves came to build, came to be a part of. So let's elect a president who can build a country for all of us. And thank you so much for being here.
Stand up. She's our candidate running for the House seat 137. She drove hour and a half to be here to show her support and for us to know that we need Anna in our Pennsylvania House because we have a very narrow margin. And so if you have friends in her district, just spread the word, even if you're living in Philadelphia, tell your friends and family, we need President Biden all the way down to Anna Thomas to make sure we safeguard our democracy. So thank you, Anna, for this.
Okay,